Okay, this is what you call the last hour collapse. The markets just collapsed. 150 points down. When we started closing bell, the Nifty was up almost 100 points. And now look at the Nifty, it's down 150 points. So from the highest point of the day, which was somewhere around 210 or so, the Nifty has lost about 260 points. We're breaking 17,000 as we speak. This smacks of actually some kind of basket selling. I mean, that's the easiest way to ascribe, I know that. But the way that some of the large stocks are falling, now HDFC is at the absolute low of the day. That rally that we had, or that recovery that we had in HDFC Twins is over, and how? Again, these two stocks have led the market lower. Infosys, look at the intraday chart of Infosys. That stock is now down almost 4%. 1560 is what you have on Infosys, and the IT index would come up for you. That's clearly seeing, a big thrashing over there. That index is down 3.7%. Year to date, IT index has given up a lot of gains. It's been one of the most underperforming indices. Of course, keep in mind, for last 2-3 years, we have had big gains in IT index, and now that macro trade is reversing or has already reversed, and that's what you're seeing on that one. But let's do one thing. Let's ask Nimesh, as we speak, 200 down on the Nifty. D-Street Chatter is here. Nimesh, this has come all of a sudden, but did you pick this up when we're having the conversation with dealers? What's happening here?
Well, Anuj, at least the indication was that from an FI point of view, they were better sellers. So there was selling pressure for sure, and largely in the financial names, HDFC and HDFC Bank. So that clearly played out, and that's playing out even now in the last half an hour of trade. What has happened in the last 10-15 minutes, I'm not too sure. I'll have to call them again and check it out. But largely, the drag is coming in from IT names, from HDFC and HDFC group stocks. So those are under pressure today. There was a relative outperformance of mid cap and small cap. Even that's not giving up. So not sure what's leading to this fall in the mid cap, in the broader indices as well, because that's where a lot of traction was, and that's the only space which is relatively outperforming for the last many days, and that was the trend in the first half of today's market as well. So that needs to be seen. As I said, there were better sellers, so the FI number looks like it's going to be negative again in today's trading session. So that's something to watch out for. I guess the only stock which was fighting for the bull was Reliance Industries. Still, it's up over 3.5-4%, and largely in anticipation of strong earnings, as well as there is some bit of buying as well back in that particular stock. So that sums up the overall market mood. Down in IT, down in HDFC group stocks, a bit of fight from the Reliance sums up the market mood today.
250 points, Nimesh, now. But tell us, what are the stocks you're tracking?
So in terms of individual names, there is still a lot of traction in the mid cap space. I've been saying this for the last many days now, that's where the whole action seems to be, and that's playing out in many of the individual names. So one of the stock on my chart today is Gateway Distriparks. A big block of 25 lakh shares changed hands today. I understand that was a clean out trade from one of the large FI, and post that some of the HNI investors have been active buyers. So that's one stock which is buzzing in trade today. That's the first one. There are a couple of rail stocks which are buzzing in trade. So RVNL, there was some big buying interest from larger FIs, is what I understand. And on back of that, even the other stock like IRFC has been buzzing in trade, and there was a strong buzz of some smart HNIs buying into that particular stock as well. So again, as I said, a lot of action in the mid cap and small cap, and that seems to be part of the chatter list as well. RVNL, IRFC, Gateway Distriparks, all are part of the list today.
Right, Nimesh, thanks very much for that. I mean, 216 points lower on the Nifty. 17,000, of course, is gone, and there is no, discernible trigger or anything which is emerged as yet. It may still emerge, but as of now, we're not really picking up anything. I'm looking at US futures, etc. European stocks are lower. Markets are down. US futures are down about 0.25% or so. I think the 10-year futures, the US 10-year futures is up some 4 basis points. It's at about 2.9% So there isn't anything which explains, at least from the global arena, this very, very large turnaround. One of the sharpest we've seen in recent times, at least, with regards to what we have on our hands right now.
Actually, Prashant, after hitting a low, we have bounced 100 points on the low point of the day. So it's extremely volatile out there. When Nimesh joined us, it was down 245, 250 points, or now we're down 140 points. So it's extremely volatile. I think today's institutional flows, Nimesh, we would have to track. I'm not sure whether something just took place, maybe one fund or someone selling out, because we saw the sharp spike and then in fact a bit of a recovery as well.
Also, you know what has happened of late is that there's a Tuesday factor which has also started to play out. The financial Nifty expiry happens on Tuesday, and you know, financial Nifty options don't see any trading up until Monday. But on Tuesday, all of a sudden, there's a lot of activity. I mean, I'll just give you an example. The 16,800 put for the financial Nifty, which is expiring today, the volume today is 21 lakh shares. Now, you know, you don't see this kind of volume up from Wednesday to Monday, but Tuesday, all of a sudden, there's a lot of activity. The low was 0.2 on that, and the high in the last 10 minutes was 79 on that. So, and Nifty Finance, of course, is an index where you have both HDFC and HDFC Bank. Which is not the case with the Bank Nifty, which doesn't have HDFC. And of course, ICICI Bank, Axis, ICICI, all of this is part of Nifty Financial Services. That weekly expiry happens on Tuesday. And that's why all of a sudden on Tuesdays also, Nigel, we've started to see some bit of volatility. And I think today's options, if you see, some of these options are really very well traded today. Like I said, the kind of volumes, 21 lakh shares on the 16,800 put.
Okay, all right. Well, let's focus on a couple of stocks. The Nineos Style Evolution, well, that one's down. Remember, they launched an OFS. It was a little bit surprising. Nimesh, run us through a few more details out there.
So, Nigel, you know, as you rightly pointed out, it came as a bit of a surprise for the street. So, the stock is locked at 20% down circuit. And the last one I checked on the BSE website, at least the base book is covered. That's the data shows. And the indicative price for the bids are much lower than you know, the current price as well. So, it's around 808 or 810 is where maximum bids have come in. So, that's where the institutional interest seems to be as far as the OFS is concerned. Now, why this came as a... So, if you look at the shareholding pattern, okay, before that, just look at the data of the number of shares which are on the block. So, 24% is what the promoter entity is looking to sell. The base book is 25 lakh shares, and there is a green show of another 16 lakh shares, which is 9.5% stake. Now, as I said, the 25 lakh shares of base book is already covered. Why it has come as a bit of a surprise? Largely because the promoter holding is at 75. So, there is no near need to sell this stake to meet the minimum public float norm. So that's came as a bit of a surprise for the street. If you look at institutional shareholders, there is not much in terms of larger shareholders as well. So FI is on 2%, and within mutual funds who own 3%. One only fund which owns the maximum stake is Nippon AMC, Nippon Small Cap Fund, that owns close to 2.5% or 2.8% stake in this particular company. Now, you know, so the key reason is why the promoters are selling if there is no compulsion to come down to 75%. And one of the feedback that I got from investment bankers is that maybe the fund which is selling out, which is the APAC company, the promoter, they want to fund this money for further expansion in China. So they did some large expansion in India in 2019. Now they're looking at similar expansion of ABS in China, and hence this 350, 400 crores will be used to, you know, do the expansion in the Chinese market. That's the feedback that I've got from investment bankers. Now, what is you know, this particular company all into? It's a market leader in ABS, which has largely been used for a lot of you know, sectors like autos, consumers. You know, there are a lot of baskets where this particular product is used, and they are the market leaders in India by a very far margin. So, good company, a leader in its space. But today the stock is reacting negatively, largely on the back of a big surprise that the promoter entity is looking to sell 24% stake via OFS.
Okay, Nimesh, thanks a lot for that update. The